Welcome to lecture number 3. In this lecture, we are going to cover the following topics: images, hyperlinks, image links, formatting text in HTML, section tag, and lists. Inside the list, we will cover the 3 kinds of lists: unordered list, ordered list, and the description list. So moving on to the first one, how can we insert images into our HTML file? That can be done using the img element or the img tag, which can embed an image into your document. So if you want to show an image on the web page, you will always have to insert an img tag in your HTML file. But using only img tag is not enough, as it consists of certain important attributes. The first attribute is, and the most important one, is src. src means source. The value of this source attribute can be any image from your system, the name of the image from your system or from your computer or laptop. And the second one can be an online URL, or you can say online link from the web. The second one is alt. Alt attribute signifies the alternative text. Just in case if your image is not available, or you can say the image could not be loaded or could not be found, then an alternative text will be visible to the user. Further, if you want to modify the height of the image, then you can use the height attribute, and for modifying the width of the image, you can use the width. The syntax looks like you have an img tag, and inside this you need to use src. The value of this, as already explained, the name of the image, but you also need to mention the extension or the format of the image. So all you have to do is, wherever your image is saved, check the name of the image, put a dot symbol, and write down the extension or format of the image. The format of the image can be checked by going to your respective drive and right clicking on the image, going to the properties. There you will be able to check the format of your image. For instance, the certain formats that we already have come across, that is, you can have GIF, JPEG, JPG, PNG. So all these are the formats of the image. Then you have alt tag, alt attribute. So inside this you can mention the alternative text. And you can also notice that the image is not having any closing tag, indicating that this is not a paired tag but an unpaired tag. The same image can also be depicted in a different way if you mention the same img element inside a figure tag. The figure tag allows us to show a figure or an image on the web page. You can enhance it further by using a fig caption. Fig caption allows us to specify the caption of the figure, but it has to be used inside the figure tag itself. Let's now perform a simple practical. For this, I'll create a new file and I'll name it as lecture 3.html. So all we have to do is press shift and exclamation and hit enter, and this is what you have got, the complete template. We can also name it, we can also give it some title. I'll give it lecture 3. Now we have to see how we can insert an image. For this, we need one image in our system, or we can also use an online link. So first of all, let's search an image here. So I'll write here planets, solar system, wallpapers, for example. So you can download any of these images. Any image can be used depending upon the kind of project that you're working upon. So let's say if I open this, and all you have to do is right click and then save image as. So this is the folder where I am already storing my files. You can give it some name. I'll give it as solar dot. Only write solar. You see that you already have the type as JPEG. So just save this, and when you check it here, you see that you got solar.jpg. So this is now available in our directory. Let's now insert an ing tag. You see you have got the src attribute as well as the alt attribute. I'll write here the name of my file, that is solar.jpg. Visual Studio itself will let you know if the image is already available in your system, and the file that you're working upon and the image that you want to insert, if they're in the same folder, then automatically it will start giving you suggestions. You can see that it is already suggesting you that there is some image available in your folder solar.jpg. So I click on this and my image is now inserted in the file. For this, I'll have to now go live. We can click on go live option. You can see that the image has been inserted. This is the image that is visible. But let me maximize it. Yeah, so this is the original, or you can say the default width and height. But you can see that it is quite large in size. So let's say I just don't want to have this kind of size. I want to have a very limited size. You can use height equals to 300. I'll specify 300. And another one is I need width equals to 300. I need to include this in inverted quotes and this one as well. Save your file and you can see that the height and width of the image have been modified. Similarly, you can mention, it's not necessary to mention the equal height and width. You can mention different heights and width as well. Further, we need to now understand what is the purpose of this alt attribute. I'll write this as the solar system. I've written here solar system, but you can see there is no effect. There is no effect or influence on the output. So the reason is that alt attribute is not meant to show to the user if your image is visible. This will only be visible to the user if the image could not be loaded or could not be found. For example, let me change the name of the image here. I'll mention solar1.jpg. So you can see that there was actually no such image available in my drive. That is why the web page is now showing the alternate text. This image sign, I'll zoom in here. You can see this image sign depicting that the image could not be found or could not be loaded. In our case, the image could not be found. That is why it is showing the alternative text to us. Let's now come back to our original image. This is our image. This time, the height and width of the image are 300 by 300. So I need to zoom out. Right, this is now the size as per my height and width. Let's improve this web page. We have to include a figure tag. And inside this figure tag, we'll put this whole image. Check the output, and this is how the image will be shifted a bit towards the right side. Let's include a caption as well. Inside the figure tag, we need to now write fig caption. I'll write here the solar system, or you can also mention any figure number if you want, figure 1 and the solar system. So you can see that the image is visible with a caption. Figure 1, the solar system. Next, we will cover how we can include the image on a web page using an online URL. The image which is here that we searched for the wallpapers, all you have to do is right click and open the image in new tab, or you can also have copy image address. So for now I'll be opening the image in the new tab, and this is that address that is required by us. This is useful when you don't have the image available in your local machine or in your laptop. I'll copy this, and instead of writing solar.jpg, I'll paste the link here and save the file. And you can see there is no difference on our output. It is the same output as we got earlier by using the name of the image and the extension. Next is hyperlinks. A hyperlink is a text or an icon that you can click on to get into another web page or another website. We come across hyperlinks every day. Whenever you search anything on the web using any keyword, you see certain links, the blue colored links, all of them are called as the hyperlinks. How we can insert a hyperlink? A basic link can be inserted or created by wrapping the text or other content inside an A element. A is called as the anchor tag. The anchor tag or the anchor element, and using the href attribute, also known as the hypertext reference, or the target that contains the web address. This is how the hyperlink looks like. You have an anchor tag. The most important attribute here is the href, hypertext reference. You simply need to mention the URL, a valid URL that can be opened. And between the tags, you can see that the anchor tag is a paired tag having the opening tag and the closing tag. And between the opening and closing tags, we need to specify the text that will be visible to the user. So the user will click here, which will be visible on the web page. Let's now insert a hyperlink. We'll write anchor tag here, right below the image, href. Now href can be any valid URL. It can be any file or image available in your system, or it can be any online URL. So right now we are having a URL of this image, so which is also mentioned here also. So we'll copy the same and mention in the href. And any text that has to be visible to the user. Right now you can see that there is no effect on the output because there is no text visible to the user upon which the user can click. So we need to specify some text that will be visible to the user. I write here, click here to see the image. Click here to see the image. Save the file and you can see that a hyperlink is visible. I'm zooming in. This is how the hyperlink looks like. Now when you click on this, this will redirect you to the same URL as mentioned, and you can see that the image is now visible. Let's go back now. We may want that when we click on the hyperlink, the image or the web page to which it is taking you, that should not be visible in the same window. So all we want is that when we click on the hyperlink, it should be visible. It should open a new tab in the same browser, just like this. A new tab should be opened and then the image should be visible. So right now, we need to add one more attribute, that is, you can mention target. Target equals to. So inside this target, you need to specify blank. Underscore blank helps you to, the underscore blank helps you to open any link in a new tab. So come to your web page and click, and you can see that the image is now opening in a new tab. When we do not specify in the target attribute, by default, the value will always be self. So means that even if you don't specify underscore self, then also the default value is going to be underscore self. In underscore self, the image will, you can say the URL that you want to go to by clicking on the hyperlink will always open in the same tab. The hyperlinks are not limited to the text that can be shown to the user. Actually, anything can be included. It can include a division, it can include an image also. So all you have to do is show some object to the user upon which the user can click and it can navigate it to some other web page. Let's see how we can create an image, how we can make the image as a hyperlink. Before implementing, let's remove the URL and instead we will consider https www.google.com. We have changed the hypertext reference. Now we will remove the text from here and instead we will now include the image. Let's include the image element or img element. The source I'll consider right from my system and mention solar.jpg. Alt I'm removing for now. I don't need this at this point, which is completely optional. I just mention the height 50 and width also I'll mention as 50. So we are going to make it as small as possible, but it should be visible to the user. And the image is now inserted. The image hyperlink is ready. How do you know that whether this is a hyperlink or not? You have to hover your cursor, take your cursor over the image, and if it changes to a pointer, in other words, if it changes to a hand-like structure, when you hover, it changes to a hand-like structure, it means that your image has now become a hyperlink. You can click on this, and when you click on this, you can see that you're able to open the same URL that we have mentioned in the hypertext reference. Now let's have a look at different formatting tags in HTML. HTML formatting involves structuring the text to enhance its visual appearance and overall aesthetic appeal. When we want our text to be visible in a different way as compared to a normal text, we can use these formatting tags. The first one is B tag, used to bold the text written between it. Then you have strong, used to show if the text is important. Both B and strong tag are used to make your text slightly thicker than the normal. Visually, you can say that there is no difference between the two. Further, we have italics, that is the I tag used to make your text italic. We also have a similar tag that is EM for emphasizing, or you can say to put emphasis on the text. This is also used to make the text italic. SUP, that is superscript, is used to indicate that the enclosed text should be displayed as a superscript. Superscript always appears slightly above the normal line. Then subscript, used to indicate that the enclosed text should be displayed as subscript, and subscripts always appear slightly below the normal line. Further, we have big tag to increase the size of the enclosed text. This is used to increase the size of the text by 1 unit. Finally, we have a small tag to reduce the size of the enclosed text. Now let's see how we can implement all these tags. To start, we'll include one break tag here. And we'll start including different paragraphs. Inside these paragraphs, we'll be using texts. and within the text we'll start using these formatting tags. I'll start writing this is a, so I'm going to use this time B tag, that is to make my text bold. This is a bold text. You can also have a look at the output. This is a bold text, and this time, okay, I need to use a space here. Right, this is a bold text. Then the next one is strong tag. This is a strong text. This is a strong text. You can see the output, and visually you can see there is no difference, but both of them are slightly thicker. Next is I tag. I tag is used to make your text italicized. This is an italicized text. Italicized, and then further I'll write text. So can you see that your text is slightly tilted towards the right hand side? We also have a similar tag to show the italicized nature, and that is em tag. This is an, I'll use em, emphasized text. So you can see there is visually no difference between the two. Next one, we have the tag that is used to insert superscript. Superscript is mostly used when we want to have mathematical equations. This time, let's say I want to insert x square. So I'll use x, and then I have to use superscript, and I'll write 2 here. So you can see that you're able to have an x square. 2 is visible right, or you can say slightly above the normal line. Next one is to insert a subscript. Subscript appears slightly below the normal line. Again, very useful in mathematical equations. I want to insert log to the base 2. So I'll use subscript here, and I'll use 2. So you can see that you're able to have log to the base 2. Next is big tag. The text is, I'll use big tag, and inside the big tag, I'll use the text big. This text is big, and you can see that the text is big. The word big is slightly, you can say slightly, it's bigger than the normal size of the text. So it will increase the size of the text by 1 unit. Contrary to this, or you can say opposite to this, you have a small tag. Further, we are also going to use small tag. The text is small. So inside this, I'll use the word small. And you can see that the text is small. Small word is visible, slightly smaller, that is 1 unit smaller. For better visuals, I'll zoom in this web page, and you can see this is how all of these formatting tags can be used. But you must notice that these are not the only available formatting tags. So if you want to have a look at more formatting tags, you can refer to the references mentioned in slide number 14 in this lecture. Next one is a section tag. This is also called as the generic section element, and this tag defines a section in the document that generally includes a group of related content. In our web page, we may need to include headers, footers, chapters, and many other sections. So whatever the content that we feel are related to each other can be included in one section. And this is how the section tag looks like. Now let's see how we can implement section tag. We are now back to our HTML document, but you can see there's a lot of content written inside it. We need to comment all this since we do not need this for the time being. I'm using a shortcut for this. So I'm using right now Control/ in order to comment the code. But sometimes it's not a good option to comment the code using a shortcut. So you should also know how to include a comment manually. So to include the comment manually, you will have to start from here, put a less than angle bracket, an exclamation, 2 hyphen signs. Once you include these characters, you will notice that the color coding has been changed to green, indicating that your code has now been commented. But you should also tell your HTML document that till where do you want to comment. I want to comment till this last paragraph. So I'll be using 2 more hyphen signs and a greater than angle bracket. And this is how your code will look like after you have commented out. And this is now how your web page will look like after your code has been commented. Let's start including the section tags. So I write a section tag here. Inside this, I'll use one h1. I write here chapter 1. After this, I'll use one paragraph. This is any explanation regarding your chapter 1. This is chapter 1. After saving, you will notice that this is how the output looks like. You can include more sections this way. For instance, I'll be using one more section where I'll use one h1 and I'll write here chapter 2, and after this I'll use some explanation for this chapter. This is chapter 2. Similarly, you can include more section tags indicating that you must be having group of related contents. You can also include images, hyperlinks, and many other tags which are relevant for your web page. Next is lists. HTML lists are used to display related information in an easy to read and concise way. These are further of 3 types. The first one is an unordered list that can be implemented with the help of a UL tag. Second one is an ordered list that can be implemented with OL tag, and the last one is a description list. We are going to discuss all these 3 kinds of lists in detail now. So let's discuss unordered list. The unordered list is used to represent data in a list for which the order of the items does not matter. Means to display a list of items in a non-sequential, unordered manner. When you want to present a collection of items that are related, but you don't want them to be displayed in a particular order. For example, you may want to show a list of ingredients for a recipe. You may want to show a list of features for a product, or list of groceries to be purchased from a shop. So let's see which tag and in what way we will be creating an unordered list. And that is with the help of a UL tag. You can see UL means that unordered list, and inside this we have one attribute called as type that can consist of 3 values. So the first value it can have is a disk, second value it can have is a square type, and third value it can have a circle type. Then further inside these unordered list, we can have a list item tag. Inside the UL tag, we will include one list item tag that will help us to show the items on the web page. So this can be done with the help of a list item tag. Let's now create an unordered list. Before that, we will comment this part, and after this we will include one unordered list tag ul, and we will include certain list tags. Let's say I want to show the list of companies. The first one is Apple, second one I'll include is Samsung, and I'll include one more, and that is, let's say it's Microsoft. Let's save the file, and you can see the output. I'm zooming in the output. You can see that by default we are able to see these are called as disks. These are circular disks which are filled with black color, also sometimes called as bulleted list. So by default the value is going to be, it's a disk, even if you are not writing any type. You can see if I write a type here and equals to, I'll put disk, and you can see there is no change in the output. Further, the next option we can use is square, and the bulleted list is now turned into a square type bulleted list. And the last one is a circle. Circles also look like disks, but they are circular, but they are hollow from inside. They are not filled. This is how we can create an unordered list. Next one is an ordered list. The ordered list is used to represent data in a list for which the order of items has a significance. An ordered list can be numerical or alphabetical. So the items can be either represented as numbers or uppercase letters or lowercase letters or uppercase Roman letters or lowercase Roman letters. And this ordered list can be created with the help of an ordered list tag, that is OL tag, that consists of a type attribute, an optional one, but still if you want to have modifications like these, then you can use the type attribute. So what are different options that you can have here? The first one is, that is represented, numbers can be represented as 1. Then uppercase letters can be represented as a capital A. Lowercase letters can be represented as a small a. Uppercase Roman letters can be represented as capital I. And lowercase Roman letters can be represented as small I. Now let's see how we can implement an ordered list. We will now comment this and insert an ordered list. I write here OL, inside which we need 3 list items. The first item I'll include is Apple. Second item is Samsung. Third item is Microsoft. As you can check in the output that we are having numbered list, having 1, 2 and 3. Means if we do not specify any type, then by default it would be a numbered list. Now let's specify type. Type equals to, I'll first of all write here 1. There's no change. Second type is, if I insert a capital A, it will change to a list that will show A, B and C. Similarly, if you include a small a, it will be again a list that will show small a, b, c. Next one is, if you want to show the list as an uppercase Roman letters, then you can write a capital I, and this is how they will be visible. And the last one is, if you want to show them as lowercase Roman letters, then can be written as a small I, and this is how they are visible. Next type of list is the description list. The HTML description list is used to represent data in the name value form. We use the DL tag to create a definition list, and each item of the description list has 2 elements. First one is term or a title. that can be represented by dt tag. And second one is the description of the term that can be represented by dd tag. So the main objective here is to provide the description of names or terms by presenting them in a description list. Now let's see how we can implement this. A description list always starts with a DL tag. I'll include one DL within which I need one term to be described, and that can be represented with DT tag. Let's say I want to define a term Apple. I would like to define this company Apple. So some information will be included regarding Apple inside the DD tag, that is the definition. So I write here an electronics company that produces, I can write here, let's say iPhones and iPads. Right, and you can see that this is how the web page will be visible. You'll be able to see the term at the top, while the description of the same will be visible below it with a little indentation at the left hand side, means some margin will be given from the left hand side. Now you can include another DT within which I would like to write, let's say Samsung, and I write the description for the same. I'll copy the same with a little more changes. An electronics company that produces, let's say I'll change this with smartphones, and this one I can change to tablets. Okay, anyways, but yeah, we only need to check that how the description list is visible to us. So this is how we can work with all these three tags, that is DL, DT and DD. Now we are towards the end of this lecture. So these are the references from where you can cover the different tags that have been covered in lecture number 3. And this is the program link that has been covered in this lecture. Let's talk about the week 3 assignment. You need to go to Free Code Camp Responsive Web Design, and you must cover the steps 6 to 34 for Learn HTML by building a cat photo app. And I have also included one screenshot of the same that will help you out in knowing that what are the different tasks to be covered. So you need to cover the tasks which have been tick marked with this red color. The first 5 have already been covered in the past lecture. So you need to cover from 6th till 34. That's all for lecture number 3.